Okay, so what we're going to do is we're about to go over your review work for this week, January 19th through the 9th through the 13th. I'm going to go through these quickly, but I do want you taking notes. You have got a quiz tomorrow, and so the more often you see this stuff on here, the more you can expect it to be on this quiz. Okay, so let's look at the very first one. These are kind of out of order. So you have got a set of 4 terms. So can you tell me when it says to factor completely, what you do? Group them. Okay, and then what are you going to take out of the first group? An A, that leaves you X plus Y. What are you going to take out of the second group? A B, that leaves you X plus Y. Do not leave it like this. You have to show me your 2 factors. So one of them is A plus B. The other is X plus Y. Okay. On number 12, just below that, they give you P and they give you Q. They're in scientific form. They want you to multiply those. What is 4 times 5? 20. When you multiply like bases, what do you do to the exponents? Add them. So that looks like it's 20 times 10 to the 9th, but that's not correct. Why?
Because it's got to be 2 or just 2.
Okay. If you move the decimal to the left, you add 1. So 2.0 or 2 times 10 to the 10. Okay? Now, in the B part of that, they've got Q divided by P. So Q, 5 times 10 to the 4th, divided by P, 4 times 10 to the 5th. What's 5 divided by 4? 1 point. 1 point.
2, 4, blah, blah, blah. Just 2.
No, 25. It's a perfect 1.25. 1 with 1/4 left over. Times 10 to the negative 1. That is your answer. Okay, let's look at number 2 at the very bottom of the page. You've got 0.34. You've got 3/5. You've got 0.6 squared, and you've got 3.6%. Now, we've not exactly done something like this, but this is something I would expect y'all to be able to do. So, what I want you to do when you have stuff like this is change everything to a decimal and think of it like money. Because I know y'all can order money from having little money to more money. So, that's already a decimal. 3 over 5 would be what is a decimal? 0.6. What is 0.6 squared? 0.36. And what is 3.6% as a decimal? 0.036. Now, you've got 4 blanks. Now, what I want you to make sure is that you don't put these in there. The originals must go in the blank. You can't put your equivalents. So what would be the first one that is the smallest of all the money up here? 3.6%. Don't put the 0.036. You have to put the original. What would come next? 0.34. And then next? 0.6 squared. And then 3/5. Okay. We omitted number 7 on the second page. Let's look at number 1. Now, guys, y'all have got to be able to radicals and exponents. Now, you may not think that you know the square root of 9/16 without a calculator, but you do. Now, anytime you are squaring or square rooting a fraction, you can do the numerator separate from the denominator. So I want you to rewrite it like this. Square root of 9 over the square root of 16. Now, y'all know that. 3/4. Okay? Now we've got to take care of this. What is the one thing that gives you the most concern about this term? The negative. Okay. What does that tell me I do to the base? Flip it. So 1 over 2, and it's raised to the first power. So that doesn't change anything, does it? Now I'm not done here. What do I need to do when I add fractions? Common denominator. What will my common denominator be? 4. So this term already has a 4, so that doesn't change. That's going to change to 2 4. So what's my final answer? 5 over 4. Now, I had questions last period about, should I change that to a decimal? Unless they tell you to, I wouldn't do any more work that might cause me to make a mistake. Okay?
I thought that was a division sign.
Okay. Well, if it was a division sign, you'd multiply by 1/2's reciprocal. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2 just below it. Y equals x over 2 plus x squared when x equals 0.1. So we're substituting the 0.1 in here. So what is 0.1 divided by 2? Well, what is 1 divided by 2? 0.5. 0.05. And what is 0.1 squared? 0.01. So what is my final answer?
0.06.
And I would not change that. Now, if you do 6 over 100 and you reduce that to 3/50, okay. But you better be pretty sure of yourself. All right, let's look at number 3 at the bottom of page 2. How would I begin to work this? Oh, no, I wouldn't add 8. I can't add 8 because it's stuck with the end. Multiply by 2. We definitely want to get rid of that denominator. So when I multiply by 2, it gets rid of it on the left side. And I multiply it on the right side. And then how am I going to solve for n? Add 8. Now, guys, you can always go back on these and check. 30 minus 8 is 22. 22 divided by 2 is 11. Check where you can. All right, let's turn to the 3rd page. This one works the exact same way. We're going to multiply by 3. What would I do next?
Subtract 5.
Subtract 5. And
Then divide by 2.
unless they tell you to put this as a decimal or a mixed number, I would advise that you leave it. All right, let's get into...
What happens if we put 9.5?
As long as that's correct, they will take that. But I just don't want you doing division in your head, and if you accidentally did something wrong when you could have left it like that and gotten the points. See what I'm saying? So you need to be very certain of yourself, or at least have that answer somewhere where they can see it.
So 9.5 is right.
9.5 would be okay. Anything equivalent to that, they will take. I'm just scared that students make mistakes by going a little further sometimes. All right, let's talk about 20. All right, they gave you an f of x, a g of x, and an h of x. And the first thing they asked you was find h of f of 1. So this was the last test, I believe, that we had before the end of the term. So what would I do here? Yeah, substitute what?
X to the power. X to the 3rd is same.
Right, but can't get there yet.
X has to be 1.
All right. What is normally in the parentheses? Look up there. Everything in the parentheses is what? X, correct?
Yes.
So this is now my x. And so 1's going to go in place of my x into which equation? The f. So the f equation is x minus 3 squared. So I'm substituting the 1. So negative 2 squared, negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 2 times negative 2. Negative times negative is positive 4. So 4 is now going into the h. And the h is what? X cubed. So this is going to be 4 cubed, which is going to be 64.
I don't like those, the parentheses.
You always start from the inside and work out.
I forgot it.
This is why we review.
So anytime there is a 1 inside of parentheses,
Or a number.
You
so
said
that by itself, just
Whatever is in the parentheses gets substituted for x. They can give you x minus 2 in the parentheses as you get further advanced in your math. So whatever is in the parentheses goes in place of x. All right, now let's talk about the next one. Everybody look up here and pay attention because I've not covered this, but it's not difficult. All right, so on the B part, g to the negative 1 x. Everybody be taking notes on this because you will see one of these tomorrow. This is known as inverse. Okay, and it's known as inverse because of this little negative 1 right there. Because when you have 4 to the negative 1, what did you do? Flipped it. So that becomes 1/4. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got an inverse of this function. Now, what inverse means is that if you've got a function, let's say this. Everybody look up here. You'll learn about these more in a little while. That's a parabola. It's a quadratic. Okay? So if you were to inverse it, now look up here. Do you see how this is going up? These are going up on the y. You notice that? They're going up on the y. Now an inverse of it, it goes 90 degrees. Now they're going along the x. So the inverse, now you don't have to necessarily remember that, but I'm going to give you notes about what you need to do for inverse. Write these down. Y becomes x, and x becomes y. If you are sleeping, I suggest you wake up. I'm recording this, so I'm trying not to call names. Now, what is my g of x equation? Because they want me to take the inverse of the g, not of the h and not of the f. So what's my g of x equation?
X minus 1/4.
Okay. Now I said that y becomes x and x becomes y because of the picture I showed you. Okay, it went up on the y's and then I turned it on its side and it goes along the x. I don't see a y right here. It's hiding. Does anybody know what is the equivalent to the y right here?
X.
Negative
G.
The g of x. This can be rewritten as y. Make a note of that. Anytime you have f of x, g of x, h of x, it doesn't matter. All those can be written as y. It's just a different notation. Okay? Y'all can put LOL and it means laugh out loud. They're the same thing. This is the same thing. F of x can also be written as G. Written as y. G of x can be written as y. So now do I have a y?
Yes.
Yes. Have I done anything yet?
no.
No. So now my y is going to become x. So my y becomes x my x becomes y. Now the last thing you do is solve for y, or in other words, get y by itself. So what am I going to do to get y by itself?
Multiply by 4.
Multiply by 4. So 4x equals y minus 1. How am I going to get the y by itself? Plus 1. Sorry about that. I meant to make that a 1. So that's the answer that goes in that blank. We're going to do this again in a minute. Okay? You just got to remember, if it's got to the -1 power, the y becomes x, and then you get the x becomes y, and you get y by itself. Okay, huh? Positive, then it would subtract to the other side.
It's not, how do you get x g of x equals x minus 1 over 4? How do you get x minus 1 over 4?
It's at the top. It's what the g of x is equal to. You use whichever one they tell you at the top. Okay, so if they did f of x, we would do the x minus 3 squared. Okay? All right, let's look at the very last one, which is g of h of x. Now, do you see any nice little numbers here?
No.
Am I going to get any nice little numbers as an answer? No. So where am I starting? I'm starting in the with the inside, and the inside is h of x. What is the h of x equation equal to? X cubed. At the top there. At the top. What is the h of x equal to? Okay. Now put that in parentheses. Now that becomes your x in the g. Okay, so look at the g equation. What's happening with the x in the g equation? X minus 1. You're done. That's all you have to do. I would leave it alone. All right, turn to the next page, number 2, at the top of the next page. You've got 1/10 squared plus 2/5 squared, and you're trying to prove that it equals 0.17. So you have a couple of options here. You can change these to decimals and square them if you want to. So you could have done 0.1 squared plus 0.4 squared. What is 0.1 squared? 0.01. What is 0.4 squared?
0.06. I meant 0.16.
Okay, and you add those and get?
0.7.
Okay, let's work it out if we kept it as a fraction. 1/10 squared is 1/10 times 1/10. What is 2/5 squared? 2/5 times 2/5. So 1 times 1 is 10 times 10, 4 over. So you have to get a common denominator. So 17 over 100, and that is equivalent. You have to show all your work. You can't skip from here to here. You can't skip from here to here. Okay? All right, on number 4, this one should be very straightforward. I'm just going to give you the answer to that. 3y minus 4y to the 4th. And on number 8, I would add 3. This is an inequality. Divide by 2. What do you have to worry about with inequalities? Can I just put -2 as my answer?
No.
No. What do you have to worry about with inequalities?
Sign.
Yes. When do I change the sign?
Divide by negative.
When I multiply or
Divide.
divide by a negative. Okay. Flip over to the next page, number 9. I'm proving that 49 over 16 to the negative 3 halves is equal to 64 over 343. What concerns you about this problem?
Negative.
The negative. What does it do to the base? Flips it. So, now I have a fractional exponent. The top number tells me the power, the bottom.
Root.
So what root am I taking? Square root of 16, and I'm raising it to the third. Then I'm taking the square root of,
49.
what's the square root of 16?
4.
And we're going to cube it, and guess what? It's 64. What's the square root of 49? And when I cube it, okay, you had to show it. Okay, let's look at 10. You're going to see one like 10 tomorrow because they're all over this packet. 256, W 256, 1/4. Do you see a negative exponent?
No.
No, so I'm not flipping any base. What root am I taking?
4.
The fourth root of 256, and I'm raising it to the first power. This is the power. This is the root. So what do you think multiplies by itself 4 times to get 256?
64.
No. 64 times 64 times 64 times 64.
4.
4. 4. Now, when you raise a power to a power, what do you do? Multiply. You better make a note. So 256 over 1 times 1/4. I'm going to cross reduce. That will go into its 6 with 1 left over. That's 16. W to the 64.
I'm at 64 plus 60. Whenever I did that, I got like before W, but I put the exponent in there and I had 256 W to 256.
I didn't hear that.
Well, correct that, okay?
You just
You raise the power to a power, so you multiply. I did.
64 to W and 4 to the.
So did you just multiply?
Okay, but you have to work out the 256 to its power. Work that out. All right, let's look on the next page, please. We're going to run out of time, so I'm going to move quickly. Number 23. This will hopefully be recorded and uploaded tonight, so if you need to go back and review. You have G of 3. So 3 is going to go into the G. So we've got 4 times 3, which is 12 minus 1, which is 11. 11 is going to go back into the G. 4 times 11 is 44 minus 1 is 43. All right. On B part, F of G of X. Which one am I starting with? The G. What is it? 4x minus 1. I'm putting that in parentheses. That's going into the F. So what's happening to the X and the F?
It's
A
changing
3
to 4x
plus 5. Work this out. 12x
plus 2
minus 3 plus 5 gives me 12x plus 2. All right, everybody look at C. Do you see F to the negative 1?
Yes.
All right. F to the negative 1 of x equals 11. What does this tell you? It goes back to what we learned. It is an inverse. All right, so which equation are we starting with, the F or the G? The F. So f of x equals what?
3x plus 5.
Now,
Oh.
this f of x is equal to y.
Yeah.
What was the next thing after you rewrote it? What did you have to do?
Solve it.
No, you don't solve it.
Switch the X and the Y.
Switch the x and the y. So y becomes x and x becomes y. What was the last step?
You plug it in.
Solve it.
Solve for y. In other words, get y by itself. How am I going to get y by itself?
Subtract 5.
Subtract 5. And then what? Now, so this is, shh, I need y'all to pay attention. This is that. But what's it telling you to do? Solve it. Read it. What is it telling you to do? The inverse of f is equal to 11. What do you think I'm going to do? Let's apply a little common sense.
Do the inverse of that.
I already did the inverse of that. Not plug 11 in, no.
Figure out how to
Flip
get
11.
No.
No, like plug in numbers to figure out how to get 11.
Make 11 Y.
What is it saying to do to this? This is equal to 11. What was this?
Oh, it's
X
you do that and
minus
you just put
5 over 3
Equals 11.
equals 11. All you got, if you can learn to read these, they will tell you exactly what to do.
X equals 38.
Then add 5.
38. Get off me, son.
Okay. Shh, it's being recorded. Okay. Get that down, please. I'm going to give you the answer to 24. You should be able to do 24 easily. 2 plus P, A plus 2. Now, 24B is a little tricky. What can be factored out of 24B? 8 cannot. 8 will not go equally. 2. 4 will not. So the only thing that can be factored out is 2. What does that leave me? 81 minus 4R. Now, this is one of these special cases. What is this?
Dots.
It is a dots. Thank you, Taylor.
No, that.
Hashtag dots. Difference of 2 squares. So don't forget to bring your 2 down. How do we factor a dots? And how do I know it's dots, by the way? Because 81 is a
Perfect square.
perfect square. 4
Perfect square.
R squared.
Square.
And it's a subtraction or difference. So how am I going to factor that?
X minus 81.
No.
X minus
Square root of 81 minus 2 R 9 plus 2R. Okay. Let's look at 12 on the next page. We've got 16 p to the 16 raised to the 1/4. So what root am I taking of 16? The 4th root, and I'm raising it to the first power. What's the 4th root of 16? 2. When you raise a power to a power, what do you do?
Multiply.
What is 16 times 1/4?
4.
4. All right. I'm gonna give you the answer to the next one, cause like I said, I'm running out of time. So that would be 15/4 is less than n. And on number 10, you should be able to solve this. I had got to change one of these y's to a negative.
Multiply.
So multiply all this by -1.
Negative.
When I add them, they eliminate. Negative x equals 2, so x equals 2. Substitute that back in for that. 2 times 2 plus y equals 3. 4 plus y equals 3. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be a -2. -4. Y equals 7. Okay, let me try to get this wrapped up real quick. I'm going to give you the answers.
Yeah.
All right, number 16A, you get 8p to the -1, or that's 8/p. B is 1/5.
Wait, is it Q or P?
I'm sorry, it is Q.
Same thing.
Actually, Q.
All right, number 3, your answer is -8. 3b is 2y to the 6th. And then we eliminated the 23 at the top of the last page because it was a duplicate. Number 3 is 2.4 times 10 to the 8. Okay,